Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Pens, Paper, and Planners. I am Chanel, aka Inja Cutie, um, and today I will be doing a beginner's um, fountain pen challenge. Um, it will be the Lamy Safari versus the Pilot Metropolitan. These two are considered starter fountain pens in the fountain pen world. They're generally recommended to get you started into fountain pens. And so with this video, I kind of want to show you the pros and cons of each one and tell you what I recommend for the first fountain pen experience. So on the top there is the Lamy Safari in red, and on the bottom is the Pilot Metropolitan in aluminum kind of silvery color. First, we're going to start off with the Lamy Safari. Now, the Lamy Safari is made out of a ABS plastic. That's the top. It's just a black piece of plastic, and on the bottom, nothing really but more plastic. I'm going to rotate it here a little bit for you. Get a 360 view. So it posts pretty good. There's a tight fit there. Another 360 view. And uncapped, totally. Just another 360 view. At the bottom there, you see the Lamy inscribed on the bottom of the pen, and there's a ink hole. It's not an ink hole, it's more of a ink level checker. So here's some stats. As you can see, the weight is pretty light. Capped is 17 grams, uncapped is 10, which makes the cap 7 grams. And the length in both inches and centimeters. So now in this segment, we're going to open it up and kind of see what's behind the curtain here. So you unscrew the base, and then you get your cartridge converter. Now these are proprietary for, Lamy makes proprietary converters, so you can only use their converters in their pens. This is a close-up of the nib. As you can see, there's a medium-sized nib designated by the M. And that is the feed, black feed made of plastic. And this is just a further close-up of the nib. As you can see, the grip section has two flat sides and a rounded side. It's supposed to make the grip a little bit more comfortable, but some have said that it can be kind of, if you have a different type of writing grip, it can be kind of annoying. And this is just a close-up of the ink level hole. Allows you to see how much ink is left, of course. So let's get into the pros and cons. So some of the pros are that it's durable. You can throw it around. There's a rainbow of colors. Big sturdy clip. Its interchangeable nibs allow you to switch out nibs without buying entirely different pens or a whole nother pen to swap nibs with. Significantly, I wouldn't say it has a compatible ink reservoir. I wouldn't say large. It's pretty much on average with other cartridge converters. So when I say slow ink dry out, there are some pens out there that um, aren't really airtight, and so when you go and check the ink reservoir, it's already half empty and you haven't really used the pen that much. So with this pen, you don't have to worry about that. The ink sticks around for a long time, so you don't have to refill your ink as much. And then it's also lightweight. Now, some cons we have are the proprietary cartridge um, can be annoying. Once you get more into pens, you'll notice that a lot of the brands use the same kind of cartridge converter called I believe, International Standard Cartridge Converters. Um, and you can use them between pens, and they're relatively cheap. And with the proprietary cartridge, they tend to be a little bit more expensive. And, if you can only use it in Lamy, it's kind of restrictive. Um, it also has proprietary nibs, um, which in the pros column I mentioned that their Lamy makes their nibs interchangeable, at least with the Safaris. Um, you can just buy a separate nib and switch out the nib on your pen, but you can't use that nib on any other pen. So that's where it's a con. And then the irregular grip section is a pro for some people. It's a con for others. I just threw it in the con section um, just because it's not like most pens. And so um, just be aware that the irregular grip section um, may not be comfortable to you. So the Pilot Metropolitan has a tapered body. It is composed of a brass metal. It is a click to close um, pen, and it's pretty secure when it's posted. And it's just a 360 view of the pen, pretty clean. So here are some stats on that pen. As you can see, it's a little heavier than the Safari, and again, the pen lengths in inches and centimeters. Going into the guts of the pen, there is a cartridge converter, and Pilot has proprietary converters as well. Here's a close-up view of the nib. It is a fine nib, which if you decide to buy this pen, I suggest you go with the medium. The fine nib is a little bit scratchy for my taste, but there it is. It's a stainless steel nib as with the Lamy Safari. I don't think it's stainless steel, it's just a steel nib. And it has a rounded section, grip section there. And then the slightly shinier section for design. It's a nice looking pen. So here's some pros. Again, it's durable. It has a comfortable grip, sturdy clip, a large ink reservoir, and it looks expensive for the price. It has clean lines, very modern looking. Um, the Lamy Safari looks kind of plasticky, but if you're just getting into fountain pens, it's probably not a big deal. Again, some cons are the proprietary cartridge, which, like I said before, you can't use with any other pen except for Pilot brand pens. And the proprietary nibs, which in this case is kind of a con all around because you can't just buy a nib and throw it in your Pilot pen. You have to buy a whole nother Metropolitan in a different size to kind of get a feel of what size nib you like using. And again, that brings me to the nibs not interchangeable. And it's not many color choices. There are there are a variety of colors to choose from. They have a black and white, a red, I think even a green. But with the Lamy Safari, every year they come out with a special edition color or something like that, and even with that, there's still more colors to choose from. Here's a close-up view of the nibs together. If you look at the fine nib compared to the medium nib, it's probably about 3 times the size tip wise. The Lamy Safari nib is also a stainless. The Lamy Safari nib, as I said before, is a steel nib, but in this case, it has a black oxidation type coating on it. All of their nibs aren't like that. You can buy them in the silver, steel, or this black coating. And now for the writing sample. I'm going to use the Rhodia number 16 pad. It is a cream color lined pad, and Rhodia is known for their smooth, fountain pen friendly paper. So you'll see a lot of pen tests done on Rhodia paper, and it's pretty widely available. So first we're gonna write with the Lamy Safari, and for the Pilot Metropolitan I'm using this Califolio Olanga. It's a nice blue ink. So I went with a little Tribe Called Quest tribute here. I'm a hip hop fan, and one of my favorite hip hop groups is a Tribe Called Quest. Young Point Five, once again, tip is commonly found throughout their music. Five Dog is a member of the group, and Q-Tip is another member. And Ali Shaheed Muhammad is behind the scenes mixing on the ones and twos. So here's the here's the alphabet in both the Lamy Safari and in both the Lamy Safari and the Pilot Metropolitan. I wrote in both script and print. I don't have the best handwriting, but you can get a feel of how fine that nib is compared to the medium nib size of the Lamy Safari. Now that we've gone through the pros and cons of the Lamy Safari and the Pilot Metropolitan, which one of these do I suggest that you use? Well, I think as a starter, I would go with the Lamy Safari. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this Pilot Metropolitan as a starter, but I think just to get a good fountain pen experience starting out, this would be a great pen to use. Now, coincidentally, this was the very first pen that I used, and then this was the very first pen that I used, and then I quickly bought another one because I was just so, I was kind of obsessed with fountain pens after using this guy, and then I just wanted to try them all at that point. So I would recommend the Safari, mostly because it's durable. You don't have to worry about it dropping it and messing it up in any way. The writing is pretty smooth, and the interchangeable nibs, I think especially, will give you the opportunity to kind of figure out what nib size that you like writing with. Whereas the Pilot Metropolitan doesn't really give you any leeway in terms of swapping out nibs and figuring out what nib size you like using. When I bought this pen, when I bought the Metropolitan, I bought a fine tip nib, and I found it really scratchy, and that's probably one reason why I haven't really used this pen. It was just kind of rough against paper, and it was just too fine. Whereas the Lamy Safari I first bought, whereas the Lamy Safari I bought a medium nib, and it wrote a lot smoother. Now, as you keep getting into fountain pens and things like that, you'll discover that every pen kind of writes differently, and also the material of the nib will cause it to write differently as well. So I hope you enjoyed this review video. If you have any other questions, please leave them below. I hope you tune in to some more of my pen reviews, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.